All right, welcome, group. PGA professional Todd, Kolb, Director of Instruction for US Golf TV and BLS Golf. And tonight we're excited to have you here this evening because tonight we're going to be talking about fairway woods. And how can we consistently hit fairway woods? How can we improve our contact? How can we get those balls up in the air? Now, a lot of the things also we're going to talk about here today, and tonight I should say, we can also apply to hybrids. But this is live. This is the live session. I got my main man, Nick, behind the camera. Nick, give him the thumbs up. All right, and before we get rolling here, we want to give everybody a few minutes to kind of log on and get rolling. Hey, give us a thumbs up. Can you hear us? Can you see us? So that we know that the live sessions the audio is good, the visual is good, so we know that we can dive right into this content. So first of all, be sure to give us a thumbs up if you're seeing that right now. Now also, if you haven't already, a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about here tonight and that we talk about in all of our live sessions, you can find here in our book. It's called The Bad Lie. Curious if any of you out there have read it or gotten it. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. And in The Bad Lie, we talk about the core concepts of the vertical line swing and the things that we're doing to help everybody out there play golf. So we love hearing where you're from also. We got a bunch of people jumping on right now. They're coming on like crazy. So put it in the chat. Can you see us okay? Can you hear us? All right, give us a thumbs up that the audio is good. And as soon as we get a couple of those, we're going to be diving right into tonight's content. All right, so we got Jordan's jumping on from South Dakota. Fantastic. All right, we good. We got Ellen there, good. We got a thumbs up, fantastic. And be sure to let us know where you're from. It's one of the favorite things that we love hearing about. Nick, give them another thumbs up. Look at this. We got Texas, Massachusetts. Now people are starting to log in. Now, for those of you who are just getting here, first of all, thanks for coming. Tonight we're going to be talking about 3 things that can help us with contact when it comes to our fairway woods. But also these same concepts can help with our hybrids as well. And we always save some time at the end. So if you have questions, start putting those in. Look at this, Nick. Texas, Canada, Virginia, Illinois, Georgia, New Jersey. Welcome to every single one of you. All right, hey, let's start talking about this. How do we improve contact with our fairway woods? And before I get going here too much, I do have a little bit of a cold this evening, so I apologize for that. I got some water. If I have to take a break to get a drink, I'm going to go ahead and do that. But 3 things. And the first one we're going to talk about is so simple. It is so simple. You're going to think to yourself, well, yeah, duh, Todd, I knew that. Or, geez, I didn't know that. It doesn't require any practice. The second thing we're going to talk about, we use this analogy in terms of, we talk about swinging the golf club. We talk about swinging the club to northeast versus northwest. And like northwest versus northeast and like actually understanding that analogy can really help us improve the contact with our fairway woods. And then the other one we're going to talk about here this evening is probably the most controversial. It's one of the things in the vertical line swing that we teach. Okay, the vertical line swing for experienced golfers that we teach that, I hate to say it, but maybe a lot of other instructors don't agree with that. And it's by far the thing that we get the most comments about. And I'm really excited to be diving into that one. So, all right, here we go. Like I said, tell us where you're from. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know any questions that you have. So let's talk about the first one. We're talking about fairway wood. So first of all, I've got a fairway wood here, and I've also got a hybrid. So I'm going to demonstrate tonight using the hybrid, okay? But it's the same concepts with the fairway wood. Now, the first one that we want to talk about is ball position, okay? So simple, but if we don't have the ball in the right spot, we're not going to have good contact with our fairway woods or our hybrids. So where should the ball be in relationship to my stance? Let's talk about that first of all. All right, now, when we're hitting a golf club, when we're swinging a golf club, there's always what we call the bottom of the swing, the low point, where the club hits the ground. Okay, now when we're hitting an iron, we want to come in contact with the golf ball. We want that club traveling in a descending motion. The club is traveling in a downward motion, okay, when we're hitting an iron. When we're hitting a fairway wood or a hybrid, we still want that club traveling ever so slightly down, but not as severe as an iron. Okay, let me say that again. When we're hitting an iron, we want that club traveling in a descending motion. When it comes in contact with the golf ball, all right, Here we go. When that club comes in contact with the golf ball with an iron, we want that club traveling downwards, let's say maybe 3-4 degrees. Okay, with a hybrid or fairway wood, it might be about 1 degree, but it is a slight downward motion. And of course, with the driver, we want it going a little bit up. So now that we know what we want the club to be doing at the moment of impact, a slight downward motion, how do we get the ball in the right spot to do that? Well, let's talk about that. So generally speaking, the bottom of our swing, okay, is pretty equal to where the buttons are at on a golf shirt. Now, tonight, I went a little young look. Tonight, I went kind of the young look. I didn't go with the button shirt. Okay, my wife got me this nice new, I don't know, what do you call these things, Nick? What do you call these things? Like a pullover? I don't know, hoodie. Nick's laughing at me. He's like, dude, you're over 50. You shouldn't be wearing these things. But we're having some fun. So, but typically, okay, the buttons, of course, on a golf shirt are right in the middle. All right, so the bottom of the swing is pretty close to where those buttons on the shirt are. All right, so when we're hitting a fairway wood, okay, we want that to be a little bit forward. All right, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to put your feet together, and you're going to position the ball right in the center. And I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my alignment rods. All right, so today we're talking about how do we improve contact with fairway woods and hybrids. And the first one is so simple, it's ball position. So my feet are together, okay? What I'm going to do is take a little step towards the target, maybe like, let's just say 3 inches, and then I'm going to take a larger step away from the target. So when I address the golf ball with my hybrid or with my fairway wood, that ball is basically off where the logo on a golf shirt is. Okay, everybody with me? So we want the hybrid, we want the fairway wood to come in contact with the golf ball in a slight downward motion, ever so slightly. Let's just say 1, maybe 2 degrees at the most. And in order to do that, I want the ball to be positioned off typically where the logo would be on a golf shirt. To find that spot, I put my feet together. I take a little step towards the target, maybe 3 inches, and then a larger step away from the target. Is that making sense? Okay. Don't be afraid to put some questions right there in the comments. And if you're just getting here, hey, be sure to let us know where you're from. We got some Iowa people. The WNBA draft last night. #1 pick from Iowa. We saw that. We got Minnesota. We got people from all over. So be sure to tell us where you're from. We got Montana there as well. All right. So that's the first thing. It's so simple. It's just ball position. Now, number 2. Okay, let's talk about number 2. Number 2 is the one that nobody ever thinks about. This is a golden nugget. You want to write this one down. And I always use the analogy of northeast versus northwest. Northeast versus northwest. What does that mean? Well, what that means is swing direction. Okay, so I've got my golf ball right here. I'm going to move my alignment rod a little bit forward. So let's just say this alignment rod right here is my target line, and here's the golf ball, right? Obviously. When I swing this golf club, I can swing it at my target, which would be dead north. Dead north, right? I can swing the club a little bit to the right, which would be northwest. Okay, Nick's looking at me like, hey, I hope he gets that right over there. Nick's keeping me. Northeast. There you go. See, I was testing you a little bit, making sure he's paying attention. Thumbs up for my main man, Nick. There we go. Okay, if I swing the club this direction, this would be northeast. Everybody with me? If I swing the club this direction, or we might call over the top, things like that, right? This would be northwest. So I got north, dead north. I've got northeast. I've got northwest. Hopefully you're with me. Give me a thumbs up. We're getting a little deep here right now. Hopefully that's making sense. Okay? All right. So once we understand that concept, let me show you something really cool. This is really cool because this you can apply to all shots. As a matter of fact, next week, okay, next April 23rd, we're going in the morning to do our live session. We're going at 10 a.m. Central Time. We're going morning. We're going to talk about improving contact with your irons. Improving contact with the irons. Good. We're getting some thumbs up. Thank you out there. For those of you who are willing, I appreciate that. Indiana, we got people from all over. Okay, so watch this. This is cool. This will blow your mind. And it's one of the things that can really improve your golf game. The direction that we swing the club has a huge impact on where the club hits the ground. Let me say that again. The direction that we swing the golf club has a huge impact on where the club hits the ground. Let me demonstrate. Okay, so if I stood right here, I'm going to back up just a little bit there, Nick. Okay, if I just stuck right here and I just made little motions, okay, and I'm just going to swing this club as best as I can, straight back and straight through. Everybody can see how I'm doing that, right? I'm doing the best I can to make it straight back and straight through. Where's the club hitting the ground? Basically right in the middle of my feet, right? Okay, now I'm going to start to swing the club over to the right, which would be northeast. Woo, I got to work on my atlas, man. Thanks, Nick. I'm swinging it now to the right, which would be northeast. Where's the club tending to hit the ground now? Back by my trail foot. Okay, back to north, straight ahead. Club in the middle, hitting them in the middle of my feet. Now I'm going to start going northwest, over the top. We might call, where's the club hitting the ground? In front of my feet. So the direction that you swing the club has a huge impact on where the club hits the ground. So let me demonstrate it from down the line, and then we're going to talk about how that plays in to improving the contact with your hybrids. This one right here, the second one we're talking about, the first one was so simple, ball position. I think, geez, I tuned into this for just ball position? No, but getting the ball in the right spot is important. But this right here is a golden nugget, swing direction. So when we're sitting there, remember, dead north, northeast, northwest, right? So when I swing the club, if I swing it too much towards northeast this way, I'm going to be prone to hitting behind the golf ball. One of the most common mistakes I see people make with longer clubs like hybrids and fairways. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. If you swung it too far, obviously, if you swung it too far towards northwest, you would also top it. So the ideal motion, the ideal swing direction, once you have ball position, okay, and I'm going to give you a drill to master this in a second here, okay? The ideal direction is just ever so slightly northeast, just a little bit into out. You don't want to be swinging way into out. Now, why are we more prone to swinging the club too far into out or too far northeast with longer clubs? Well, because the longer and the further away you stand from the golf ball, okay, let me just show you this real quick. I'm going a little bit off topic. Bear with me, Nick. Nick's thinking, geez, Louise, can you just stay on topic? This guy's all over the place. All right, are you learning some stuff? Give us a thumbs up if you're learning some stuff, and be sure to throw those questions in there. And for those of you who are just logging on, let us know where you're from. Indiana. God, we got people from all over. Melbourne. This is fantastic. All right, so I got two clubs. I got my Maxford driver. I got my G-Track putter. Okay? The further away from the golf ball we stand, the more we're going to want to swing the club in and around because we're standing further away from it. The closer we get to the golf ball, the closer I get to it, the more I'm going to swing it straight back or straight through kind of towards the north. So when we get longer clubs, fairway woods and hybrids, and we move further away from the golf ball, it's very easy to start swinging too far into out. Okay? So the question becomes, all right, Todd, you're thinking to yourself, that's great. It's a lot of chatter, but how do I get the club in the right spot? Well, I showed you how to do it with the ball position, right? Feet together. Here's how you do it with swing direction. It's very simple. All right? And we can describe the golf swing in 8 words. Write this down if you've never heard it before. We can describe the golf swing in its most simple form in 8 words. Arms take it up. Body takes it around. Let me say that again. Arms take it up. Body takes it around. So if you want to find the perfect backswing position to improve contact with your hybrid and your driver, and your fairway woods, what you're going to do is you get in your setup position and you're just going to simply lift your arms to about where those buttons would be. Boom, lift your arms where those buttons would be, and then just go ahead and turn. And that gets you in a really good position at the top. Everybody see how I did that? So a little lift and a little turn. Okay? So that's the second one. What we call that? We call that swing direction. Swing direction. All right, Nick. What else? We got some. Hopefully got some questions coming in. Yeah, we got some good questions. We got a lot of thumbs up. For those of you who are just getting here, we love hearing where you're from. Put that in the chat. So does everybody else. Kind of fun to see where everybody else is coming from. We're talking about hybrids and fairway woods, how to improve contact. We talked about ball position. We want to hit slightly down on the golf ball, and we do that by getting the ball kind of off where the logo on a golf shirt would be. We've also learned that the direction that I swing the golf club, if I swing it really hard towards northeast, I'm going to hit the ground behind the golf ball. If I swing the club really hard towards northwest, I'm going to hit the ball more, I'm going to hit the ground more in front. Okay, and ideally, I want to swing slightly into out or slightly towards northeast. All right, now, the last one, or the most important one that I want to talk about is the most controversial, and it's what we call weight shift. Okay, weight shift. Now, in the vertical line swing, okay, and in the Bad Lie, the book, which hopefully some of you have read it or seen it, you can get it on Amazon. Nick can even throw the link in the chat for those of you who are interested. We're not here to sell a bunch of books, but it is helping people play better golf. One of our cornerstones in the setup is what we call the 60-40, meaning that in the setup position, we like to see a little bit more weight on the lead foot versus the trail foot. So we like to see 60% of the weight on the lead foot, 40% on the trail foot. Okay, now the reason for that is that when we have a little bit more weight on the lead foot, I can bump that weight towards my trail foot and I can rotate. Okay, I can take the weight from my lead foot, bump it to my trail foot, and I can rotate, and that gives me some distance. Now, some people will say, well, Todd, when you do that, isn't that a sway? They'll say, well, isn't that a sway? It's like that doesn't make any sense. A sway is when the weight goes to the outside of the foot. See that? That's a sway. Boom. See that? That's a sway. This is not a sway. When the weight stays on the inside of the foot, that's not a sway. That's a pivot. That's a power source. I'm generating coil. I'm generating a turn. I'm creating some energy that I can then put into that golf ball. Okay? So here's what you need to understand. This is the third golden nugget I'm going to give you. Ball position, golden nugget number 1. Number 2, swing direction. Number 3, and probably the most controversial, okay, is weight shift. And where the weight is at on your feet has a huge impact on where the club hits the ground. Let me say that again, and I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to give you a drill for that. So if you're struggling with contact with your fairway woods and your hybrids, it could be because your weight shift is improper. When the weight stays on the back foot, here we go, I'm going to demonstrate this. I'm going to grab a little wedge. Grab a little wedge to demonstrate this. It's a little bit easier to see, but the same concept holds true with the longer clubs, right? Okay. When my weight stays on my back foot, where does the club tend to hit the ground? Boom. Behind the golf ball, right? Weight's back, bottom of the swing goes back. Opposite, if my weight goes forward, boom, where do I tend to hit the ground? Towards my lead foot, right? So if you're struggling with contact, if you're topping your fairway woods, if you're topping your hybrids, the first place you gotta look is in shifting of your weight. Now, how do you know if you got good weight shift? Well, one is the ball will tell you, right? Ball tape. The other part is just simply when you finish your swing, make sure your knees are touching. It's so simple. Golf doesn't have to be complicated. It's hard. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just get your knees touching. Back, boom, knees touch. And when your knees touch, you know your weight's forward and the bottom of your swing has gone forward. Okay? So let's recap what we've learned. And I got a drill that I want to give you to tie all this together. And then we're going to get into some questions. For those of you who are just getting here, welcome. Tonight we're talking about how to improve contact with our fairway woods and our hybrids. And what are the 3 things, unfortunately, that cause us to top it, duff it, no distance? Okay? And be sure to let us know where you're from. Throw that in the chat as well. So the first one was ball position. Second one was swing direction. Okay, the third one is weight shift. And when my weight goes forward, the bottom of the swing goes forward. So the best drill or the best checkpoint is knees touching. But the best drill our all-time favorite drill for everything is the right-left drill. Okay, the right-left drill. It's in the book. Okay, most of you have heard it 100 times. Let me go through it again. The right-left drill probably fixes more swing faults than anything. So here's how it works. When we swing the club, I'm a right-handed golfer. When I swing the club to the right, I say right to myself. When I swing the club over my left shoulder, my lead shoulder, I say left. So it looks like this. It's right, left, right, left, right, left. Now, here's why this works. When the club is in continuous motion, like it is during the right-left drill, it naturally wants to find rhythm and balance. It wants to find rhythm and it wants to find balance. The other thing that wants to find rhythm and balance is your body. So when you put the club, folks, in continuous motion, right, left, right, left, right, left, naturally you start to shift your weight. Boom. In the proper sequence, okay? Naturally, you start swinging the club in the right direction, okay? And if I can combine those two things with the proper ball position that we talked about, the first thing, so simple, we are off and running. All right, now, we're going to get into some questions. So some of you are just jumping on. We're talking about fairway woods, how to improve contact, how to improve more distance, things like that. We love hearing where you're from. We got Utah, we got California, we got Indiana, Oregon. We got people from all over. Fantastic. Nick, let's get into some questions.
Yeah, Michael was asking, does the follow-through change on fairway woods?
Okay, so the question is, I got a little bit of a cold tonight, so thank you for bearing with me. Getting a little bit of water here. What was that question again, Nick?
It's from Michael, and I believe he was from Nevada. He said, does the follow-through change on fairway woods?
Okay, so the question, thank you, Michael. The question is, does the follow-through, does the finish change with fairway woods? Okay, the short answer to that, I would say, is really no. Okay, I mean, not a conscious effort for it to be different. But what I will say is this. What we can do is give the body an idea of where we want it to go. What do we want it to look like, Michael? Okay, what do we want it to look like? How many of you out there have heard about us talk about the Arnie Palmer finish? Huh? Thumbs up if you've heard that. We love Arnold Palmer, classic, great all-time golfer. And we use his finish, the Arnie Palmer finish, as an example. One of the great things about Arnold Palmer, multiple things, but in his golf swing, when he finished the swing, the handle was nice and high. So I would say this, Michael, generally speaking, when you finish your swing, you want the handle to be high, like it is here. You don't want it to be low. You want it to be high. And if you tend to slice it, if you're slicing your fairway woods or your hybrids, pay attention. Little tip coming right here. Here it comes, okay? When you come through, make sure that you let what we call rotate the club or lay it over a little bit. So see that? I release it and I lay it over. See that? Release it and lay it over. So I'm going to lay it over. See how the toe laid over? And then a high handle finish. All right, fantastic. We got Utah. We got New York. We got, oh, I love what Brian just said right there. Scotty, he's got the vertical line swing. How many of you out there watched the Masters this past weekend? What a great tournament. What a great tournament. And Scotty just put the hammer down the last 10 holes when it got close. And you are exactly right. We can't say Scotty read the bad lie. We're not saying Scotty called us about the vertical line swing, but we are saying this. He's got the vertical line swing. He's here. He's back. His arms take it up. He's got some pivot. He's right down the line, and he is the best player in the world right now. Nick, what else we got?
Yeah, I got another one from Richard. He was asking, how about starting with the weight on the left without doing any shift?
Okay, and who asked that?
Richard.
Richard. Okay, Richard, thank you for that question. Start throwing those questions in the chat. Don't be bashful. If you're thinking about it, I guarantee somebody else is thinking about it, and you can help somebody play better golf. So the question is, Richard asks is, well, can I start with all my weight on my lead foot, and can I just keep it there? That's what he's saying. So what Richard is asking. Well, first of all, there's a very popular coaching system out there called the stack and tilt. And the stack and tilt is a very legitimate coaching system or style, method, whatever word you want to use. These two guys who came up with it, they're smart guys. They are smart guys and they're great coaches. And I've learned a lot from reading their stuff and following their stuff. Okay? So I'm not saying that that's wrong, but here's our opinion on it. In the vertical line swing, because our system is designed more for the experienced golfer, right? You know who you are, the experienced golfer who doesn't have as much flexibility as we used to, doesn't have as much strength as we used to have, and needs more distance. One of the easiest ways to create more distance is in what we call a lateral shift from side to side. Okay? We talk about this in the book. We talk about this in The Bad Lie. The three power sources, the rotations, the verticals, and the laterals or the side to sides. So I would say this, Richard, that I think you can hit solid golf shots by keeping all your weight on your front foot. That's true. But if you want to get a little bit more distance, especially with the longer clubs, a little bit of shift from front to trail back to your front foot can really help you add some club head speed. So I hope that answers your question. Nick, let's get to another one.
Yeah, so this one comes from Dave. He said that his biggest fault is actually playing the ball too far forward in his stance. Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah, too far forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is sometimes I play the ball too far forward. Hey, we just had Henry Log on here, Palm Desert. Henry, you live in one of the greatest places on the planet Earth. I mean, you don't get any better than Palm Desert, my friend, especially during the winter. All right, so what about ball position? Yeah, if the ball's too far forward, you're going to struggle with contact. You're going to struggle with contact, okay? I would say this. With irons, well, anytime the ball's on the ground, irons, fairway woods, or hybrids, it would be better to have the ball too far back in the stance than too far forward. Better to have it too far back than too far forward. Now, with the driver, you definitely want that ball forward. You want that ball off kind of the lead toe. So let's just take 60 seconds and let's go through the different ball positions with the different clubs, and then we'll get to a couple more questions. So here we go. Let's go through that. Let's go with an iron, okay? Let's go a hybrid, and we're going to go a driver. Let's go through this real quick. Now, what I would suggest, and we've done some great video content on our YouTube channel here on ball positions and things like that. So what I would suggest is that anytime you're addressing the golf ball, driver, iron, hybrid, doesn't matter, you always go through the same process where you put your feet together and you position the ball in the middle of your heels. Everybody see how I'm doing that? So I've got the ball right here, equal with the alignment rod, and the alignment rod is in the middle of my heels. Now, if I'm hitting an iron, I got a wedge, but let's say it's a 7-iron, okay? I'm going to take a step towards the target and a step away from the target, roughly equal distances. So let me give you just a numerical number. 5 inches towards the target, 5 inches away from the target, right? Makes sense. That's my iron. Boom. Hybrid. Fairway wood. Feet together again, same thing. Step towards the target, okay? Step towards the target. Slightly bigger step away from the target. So let me give you numbers, okay? 4 inches toward the target, 6 inches away from the target. Let me do it again. Feet together, 4 inches towards, 6 away. Now those might not be exact, but you get the idea. Driver, same process. Feet together, okay? Mini step towards the target, large step away from the target. Okay? Mini step towards, large step away. That's how I would find ball position with all of my clubs. Irons, hybrids / fairway woods, drivers. Okay, this is fantastic. We got people, we got Dallas, we got all over. Okay, Nick, what other questions we got? Let's help these people play some better golf. Keep those questions coming. Keep the questions coming. What do we got, Nick?
Yeah, so this one's from Barry in Georgia. He said, how far should you stand away from the ball teeing up driver?
Okay, Barry, thank you for asking this question, because I can guarantee you there's hundreds of people who are watching right now. Somebody else was wondering the same thing. So thank you for having the courage to ask that question. The question Barry asked, okay, is how far from the golf ball should I be standing with my driver? Let's answer that question for you, Barry. Let's help you play better golf. Because we've talked a lot about ball position from face on, but what about the distance from the ball? So here we go. I got a golf ball right here. Okay, I'm gonna move my alignment rod out of the way. Now, how far away from the golf ball should we stand with the driver? Well, you're definitely gonna be further away from the ball with your driver than you are with an iron because the driver's a longer club. But here's the checkpoint. Here's the checkpoint, my friends, that works for all clubs, okay? Works for all clubs. When you're set in there, okay, I'm addressing the driver. Here we go, right? When I'm set in there, if I let go of the club with my trail hand, which is my right hand, okay, I should be able to let it go right back on. See that? Boom. If I was standing like this, see how that doesn't match? I'm too far from the golf ball. Too close. See that? So basically, what are we saying? What we're saying is that if I have good posture and good angles, okay, that my hands should basically kind of fall below my shoulder line. See that? Here's my shoulder line. My hands kind of fall right below that. Now with the driver, your hands can be a little bit outside your shoulders. And with your wedges, they can be a little bit inside your shoulders. But generally speaking, you want your hands kind of underneath your shoulders. Hopefully that's making sense. So for those of you who are just getting here, hey, tonight we're talking about how to improve contact with our fairway woods or our hybrids. 3 different things we've talked about. Ball position, we're talking about swing direction, okay? We're talking about weight shift, and we, of course, love hearing where you're from. Throw that in the chat if you're just getting here. Tell us where you're from, and keep those questions coming, because right now we're answering questions, okay? Nick, what else we got?
Yeah, this one is from Golf and Nature Lover. It says, how do I get more club head speed?
Oh, the ultimate question, my friend. Where are they from, Nick? Does it say where they're from?
I don't.
Okay, hey, whoever just asked that question, the question is how do I get more club head speed? Who asked that, Nick?
It's Golf and Nature Lover. North Carolina.
North Carolina golf. Okay, thank you for asking that question because everybody wants more club head speed. Now, pay attention. This is a golden nugget. You're not going to find this anywhere else. I promise you that. We did a video not that long ago on the counter backswing sequence. We did a live session on it, right, Nick?
Yes,
No, give him a thumbs up. Come on, give him. There it is. Okay, we did a live session on the counter backswing sequence. So you can go back, you can look at that, because I guarantee there's golden nuggets in there. But let me go through it real quick. Let me tell you just the basic concept. Here's the easiest way to create more club head speed. Now, the first thing I want to share with you is this. This is the biggest misconception, especially for us experienced golfers. You know who you are, right? You got to get that club going faster earlier in the swing. Do not fall into this trap of like, I gotta swing it really slow in the takeaway. No, you gotta get that club going, and you gotta get it going early. Okay? When you're in your 20s, slow and smooth is fine. Once you hit the 50s, let's get it going. So how do we get it going? Here's a simple drill you can do. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take your driver, and all you're gonna do is take your regular setup, okay? And you're going to put the club out in front of you like this. Everybody see that? So here's the golf ball. I'm just going to put the club out in front like this. Now I'm going to give you a little tip if you tend to slice your driver in just a second. So hang in there. If you slice your driver, let's talk about that. Okay? So put the club in front like this and just swing it all the way back and all the way through. So set up, put it in front, back, and through. Now, why does that work? Why does that work? It simply works because when you put the club out in front like this, it gives you momentum and energy to get the club moving. When the club's on the ground and it's here, then you got to get it, it's harder to get it going. When it's out here, you got the momentum and the gravity for the club to start swinging and start moving. You want more club head speed? Get the club moving faster earlier. How do you get the club moving faster earlier? Counter backswing sequence. Put the club in front, swing it all the way back, and all the way through, step up and hit one, and you'll be amazed at how much faster you swing the golf club. Now, what if you slice it? What if you slice it? Well, other than tuning into our videos on slicing, which we've got a bunch of them on there, right? Even on our website at usgolftv.com, usgolftv.com, we got tour draw, we got tons of free stuff on our website also, you can check that out, okay? But if you slice it, when you put the club in front, just lay the face over a little bit. See that? So I hit the ball straight, I'm going to leave the club like that. If I tend to slice it, I'm going to roll it over a little bit like that. And then from there, I'm just going to go ahead and swing it back. Now what will happen is that naturally you'll release the golf club and return it to this position. And if the club head gets in this position after you've struck the ball or post-impact, you probably hit a duck hook. But if you're slicing, you probably never hit a duck hook in your life. So this feel would be a really good feel for you. All right, look at that. We got more people from Iowa. We got more people from Florida. Fantastic. All right, Nick, let's get into maybe one or two more questions. We got a great crew here this evening. Now, next week, April 23rd, we're going in the morning, 10 a.m. We're moving around a little bit. We're trying some different times. If you don't mind, tell us, do you like the evening time? Do you like the morning time? What time do you like for these lives? Because we're kind of flushing that out, trying to figure that out. Nick, what else we got?
I got one more from Root Slayer. He says, his 3-wood has contact on the heel of the face, reduced rotation in the lower back. Any suggestions?
Okay, really good question. All right, so the question here is, thank you for asking it. The question is, I'm hitting a lot of shots with my fairway wood on the heel. Okay, you're not alone there. And also, I got some limitations in my lower back. I got some limitations in my back. Thank you, Tony, for that. I appreciate that. Anybody else out there? Do you like the evenings or do you like the mornings? Put that in there because we're really working through this. We're trying to find the best time for you guys and gals out there to help you play better golf. So you got some lower back issues. So the first thing I would say, well, self-promotion time. Read the book, The Bad Lie, okay? Because the whole concept of the bad lie is based around the vertical line swing is helping you move better. So what are some things that you can do? If you're hitting the ball on the heel, you're probably lacking some upper body rotation because of the back. So how do we navigate that? Number one, take your toes. I got my square shoes on here. Take your toes and flare them out a little bit. See that? Bad. Good. Okay, flare the toes a little bit. Number two, when you swing the club back and you start your rotation, let your trail leg release a little bit. See that? Let your trail leg release. When your trail leg releases, i.e. starts to straighten out, that allows your hips to turn more, which allows your shoulders to turn more, which allows you to get a longer swing. Typically, when we're hitting the ball on the heel, it could be a variety of things. But generally speaking, for the experienced golfers, what I see is a lack of mobility, i.e. a lack of rotation. So the backswing gets really short, and then we try to muscle it going through, and we hit them on the heel. So take your toes, flare them out. In the swing, release the trail leg a little bit so you can turn your hips, which will allow you to turn your shoulders and get some length to your swing. All right, Nick, let's get into another one. Let's get one more question. We got a great crew this evening, people from all over. For those of you who are just getting here or just logging on, thanks for coming. You're here at BLS Golf, The Bad Lie, the vertical line swing. We love hearing where you're from. And don't be afraid to put some questions in there. We've been talking about how to improve contact with fairway woods. Okay, give you 3 different things. Ball position. You could go back and watch the video. Ball position. We talked about swing direction, northwest versus northeast. And then we talked about weight shift. One of the more controversial things that we've seen that people say, well, isn't that a sway? It's like, oh, no, that's not really a sway. It's actually a power source. That's how you create more power. All right, that's how you create more power. All right, what else we got?
Yeah, this one's from Vernon. Is there any benefit to raising the left foot off the ground during the backswing sequence with driver?
Okay, so here's a great question. Thank you for asking. The question is there any benefit to raising the lead heel? See that? Let me do it from this way right here so you can see it. To raising the lead heel. See that? I got my square shoes there from my friend Bob. These are great shoes, matter of fact. If you struggle with balance, when you're swinging the golf club, squares, Nick knows how to spell that. I'm terrible at spelling. But anyhow, you guys get the point. They make a great product, but you can see on my heels coming off the ground there a little bit. See that? So the question is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, I love that move. There was a really famous golfer who did it a lot. Mr. Nicklaus, you probably heard of him. Go back and look at video of Mr. Nicklaus, Jack Nicklaus, okay, and look at his lead foot. you'll see it come off a little bit. You'll see that, boom. Okay, because that allows for more rotation, that allows for more turn, okay, and helps. Now, the thing you got to watch out for, the one thing you got to watch out for is that when you do lift that heel, make sure you're not really lifting your body. Okay, when you do lift that heel, make sure your whole body's not coming up. Try to stay in your posture, okay, but while you're also lifting that heel. And that will help you get that more rotation. So we've been talking this evening about how to improve contact with our fairway woods, okay, and our hybrids. And the most simple way is ball position. It's ball position. It's boring, but it works. And understand that really with the hybrid, you want that ball position off the logo on your golf shirt. You want to position off the logo of your golf shirt. I showed you how to do that. Put the feet together, little separate. A golden nugget is the swing direction. When we swing the club in certain directions, when we swing it towards northeast, you tend to hit the club more behind. Okay, the club hits the ground more behind. When you swing it more northwest, which is over the top, more common, right? Okay, boom, this way, the bottom of the swing goes forward. And understanding that and how to practice that is really important. And then weight shift. It's a great power source. One of the concepts, the 60-40. Okay, we were at the Masters last week, and we took some video and some pictures. And I guarantee you this. Okay, we watched Tiger. We're right there watching Tiger. You look at his setup. Boom, lead hips a little left. He's right there, and then he's shifting his weight. So the thing is those three things can help us play better golf. We appreciate you coming here. BLSgolf.com, USGolfTV.com. We're here to help you play better golf. The Bad Lie, Nick can put that in the chat one more time. You can go to Amazon, you can get that, and it can help you play better golf. And here's the thing I want you to always remember. Always remember this here. We're here to help you play better golf at VLS Golf. We're here for the experienced golfer, not the tour pro. We're here for the experienced golfer, guy with a bad back, maybe a bum knee, ankle, things like that. But you always have to remember that you don't have to swing like a tour pro in order to play great golf.